Welcome to the Mystery Channel, where the veil is thin and the echoes of ancient knowledge speak through myth, magic, and the turning of the cards.
Hello, everyone. Again, welcome to the Mystery Channel, where we unravel hidden stories, lost knowledge, symbols of ancient worlds. So join us as we walk between history and myth. And today we're diving into the game of hope, where we have that blend of chance, prophecy, not just a game, but a journey, 36 cards and one path. So join us as we dive into the game.
Yay, what a beautiful intro, Morgan.
Oh, thank you.
I'm glad that you do that.
Yeah.
So, the game of hope and the relevance to the Petit Lenormand cards where we are talking about. And which we highlighted in the previous episode about the famous celebrity cartomancer soothsayer Madame Lenormand. So, what is the relevance in regards of the Petit Lenormand cards and the game of hope? Das Spiel der Hoffnung.
Yes. The relevance. Sorry, I thought, no, you're asking me a question. I was just listening because I love this subject. Yeah. So the Game of Hope is kind of what inspired it a little bit, because it was in 1799. I actually have the replica. So this is the replica deck, not the real deck. Of Game of Hope. And it's fascinating because it's a board game about your life, about how you're looking into your life, like what possible lessons you can learn. And then that's what they based the Lenormand cards off of, is this Game of Hope. Mm-hmm. And where for anyone who's played, you must play if you haven't, but how you go through it. For example, like if you land on the fox, that's a chaotic card. That's a stressful card. That's kind of a what's driving you crazy card. So you had to go all the way back to the trees where you had refugee, where you kind of sat and reassessed the situation. And that's very much like the Lenormand cards in life. It's kind of parallels.
Yeah. And it does remind me of the game of Goose, for instance. But in order to picture or to get a mind picture for the listeners, are the cards dealt on the table? How many cards are there? Or what is the structure of the game, and how is it played? Is it
for the Game of Hope? So the Game of Hope is exactly like the Grand Tableau. You have 6, you lay it out 6 until the end, and you start with the rider, clover, ship. But how you do it is you have the houses, but then how you lay it out is you'll lay the cards, on there. So say, for example, if we are talking about the fox, like what's driving you crazy, let's say it's the actual man card. Your partner's driving you crazy. So then you go back to the trees, and what's in the tree spot, maybe it's the stork, where you kind of need a change now. So it's the man card driving you crazy, and you go to the trees to see how to fix the situation, how to reassess, and it's the stork. Well, obviously with the stork, there's changes that need to be made to the man card, because you see how that works. So it's how you lay the cards out. And the winning one is the anchor. So that's what your focus should be. That's where you're aspiring to be. That's what you want to get to. And then that's how you want to get there. So how do the rest of the cards fall and help you into that role?
So it's actually the structure of a game of Goose, where you somehow have to wait or be in prison somewhere, or go back and start from scratch. And is it therefore that there are maybe numbers on the Petit Lenormand cards in order to structure the deck, or from 1 to 36? Or
that's exactly how it is. Well, because 35, that's the fun thing about it, is 35, the anchor, is the winning card. So if you actually go over at the cross, well, you went over, so there's suffering, So
maybe the cross is the jail in the game then, from the game of Goose. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, there's a couple of jail cards. Actually, there's a couple cards that you have to pay to get out of jail. Like if you land on the whip, you have to pay 2 tokens to get out, And
So-
like the letter, 1 token to get out, because you're going to have to pay something in money, but also energy. Because like the whip, because the whip is like paying to move out of this discordant energy. And as soon as you pay it, you can go to the child card. And as we know, the child card's new beginnings. So you're literally paying in money and your energy of how you're going to get out of this bad situation to a new start.
Yeah, I see. So every Petit Lenormand card is just the same as the original Das Spiel der Hoffnung card.
Yes. Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
So you can play the original game with the Petit Lenormand cards.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're exactly the same. Because look, here's the original cards. Like, like the heart card, is 24, and then you have 35, the anchor card.
Yeah.
So they're all exactly the same. But of course, with the original, like there's the tree, gives you the inserts and everything.
Yeah. Real old school German cartomancy with those inserts, I see.
Oh, yeah. It's actually in German too, so you can see German at the top, then French.
Yeah. That's really interesting. So besides reading someone's fortune with it, you can just use it as well afterwards to play a board game with your children or whatever. So and do you still have those rules of the game? Can we give the viewers or the listeners? Can we give them something downloadable or something that they can ask for to give the rules that they can play it?
Oh, yeah. Actually, and that's the beauty of subscribing, is if you subscribe to our thing, I actually do have a nice booklet that I created that goes through the rules, that goes through how to play, that shows you how to use it, the original thing, and then how to put it to an actual grand tableau. So you can take the original rules of the game and then how you can use it to do a reading. So if you subscribe, you get that little booklet for free on subscribing.
Whoa. It sounds like a multifunctional pocket knife.
Yeah.
Petit Lenormand card game.
Yeah. So you can really get deep into the game with this as well, because the rules of Game of Hope you can put directly into reading it
So
at the grand tableau. You can see whatever the original Game of Hope thing is. You can then use it as you read through your grand tableau, so it's multifunctional.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. That's clever. That's good.
Yeah.
So there's always been an historical link between the concept of playing board games, just ordinary card games, and divination. And I'm always thinking, but it's somehow a metaphor, because if you're playing like a card game or a trick game, what is important, the hand that you get dealt will depend if you will be able to win the game or stand strong or whatever. Do you have trumps? Do you have good cards in your hand, or do you have only bad cards? So I think it's somehow logically that good cards, bad cards can somehow symbolically stand for life circumstances, can stand for certain elements in life, for good or ill. And maybe that's a very logical structure in cartomancy, that you have card game that somehow reflects everything of life, that you have a card for sorrow, that you have a card for luck, that you have a card for love, that you have a card for work, whatever is important in work, and that you somehow have the chance to play with an oracle somehow, because it's subjective, but that's how I see a game of card, as an oracle, or at least a device as an oracle that somehow tells the plan of the gods. That's somehow what divination wants to say, the explaining of the plan of the gods, somehow conceptual. So for me, I don't know how the listeners think about that. I really want to hear it from you. It's subjective, I know, but for me it's an oracle. But that this oracle really reflects life circumstances, and that somehow it's logically that you put some cards on the table and that's your fortune, for what it's worth. But there is a lot of links between board games and fortune telling or oracles. Even some things or some popular like a game of hoopscotch, like they are like jumping on one leg. In that regard, that has a cultic background even. But we will talk about that in later episodes if we dive deeper into that era, because mythical, there was a lot of limping if you are in a liminal space, and it has everything to do with that. But we will talk about that in a later phase, because today we talk about the Petit Lenormand cards and how they originated out of the Spiel der Hoffnung.
Yeah.
So is this Petit Lenormand deck your favorite deck or go-to deck, or is it? Yeah. How do you work with it? Since you are still a card reader, I assume.
Oh yeah. I like this deck for the historical thing, but usually I'll use. Let's see if I have another deck where it went. Well, usually I like to use ones that are more that are like smaller, because this is really big. As you can see, that's very big. It's like the size of my palm. So I normally like to use the smaller ones. Definitely the smaller cards. But I do like, since that's the back anyway, Seed Bear. I do like this, though, for the historical thing that it brings, especially if you're doing the Game of Hope. It's such a large spread that it's fun this size to use as the board game. But if you're doing a reading, I like the smaller ones to lay out.
And would come in handy to shuffle, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because it's a lot larger. So,
yeah. Then you're almost like juggling instead of shuffling. Yeah.
There you go. And that would make it more of a game, too. You're trying to juggle the cards as you lay them out.
So. It's all performance, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
like Madame Lenormand, isn't it? The show element sure adds to the to the whole thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Yes, exactly. But that's I was going to say, though, on yours, that's a fun way to talk about it, though, because it did start as a game, a showmanship, but that's how they structure then went into the Lenormand cards.
Yeah, that's a really interesting history how that went, because a lot of people, they don't know the real history in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so isn't that strange that this deck comes from Germany whilst carrying a French celebrity? That's a really great marketing trick, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yep. Definitely.
It's very smart. It's very good.
Yeah. I definitely enjoy it. And it actually, if you do dive into the Game of Hope, it actually does bring clarity to how Lenormand, the concept of Lenormand, how Lenormand is structured. And also it really does help you understand the structure and concept of then when you do a regular Lenormand reading. So.
Yeah. And so, yeah, but they say so because there's something remarkable. I always find if I look at several cardamency systems, the thing is that living in Belgium, I have the luck to have been able to read all the sources, since I can read German, I can read Dutch, and I can read French. In that regard, I was a lucky bastard, so I could read all relevant stuff in that regard. But the strange thing I find when I came into the Anglo world right before the Petit Lenormand hype, so to say, maybe it was around 2010, 2011, before the real breakthrough came in that regard. I don't want to talk for the masses, but there was somehow a consensus that traditional Petit Lenormand was reading the Lenormand like in the Little White Book, as a wall oracle, as I call it, of 36 cards, that was the real traditional way of reading it. And that everything outside of the Grand Tableau, doing smaller spreads, like playing cardomancy and all that, was somehow a more modern approach. That does not want to say that it's not as good, because I also pointed out in my books, and I back in the days when I was still reading cards for people, I use it more outside of the Grand Tableau than in the Grand. But there is here a consensus that reading traditional Lenormand is reading in a wall Grand Tableau with the method of distance. And that's also why my books are so popular with the real people who want to read really traditional, because they never heard of the method of distance. And that was for me something strange, because when I first made my appearance in the Anglo community, they somehow heard about the German author Iris Strebner. From my point of view, that was really modern modern way of reading. In the Anglo world, she was considered as somehow, the most traditional source. But it's one of the only sources, one of the first sources translated into English. So that was a really strange encounter. So yeah, but after all those years, we could really transfer that idea, what we have here, towards the Anglo world. And that was most of the time through my books. So that was a hell of an achievement, because first they were mocking me. Can you understand it?
No, that's crazy.
Because they claim to be traditional readers, and then I somehow said, okay, but there's this layer of what the cards have in their original method of distance, and so they made a laughing stock out of me back then. Can you imagine?
No.
Yeah. So they were like saying, you are really terrorizing, whilst I was really doing the old school stuff, but later on they somehow understood the real traditional ways. So that was funny. And after some years, they were somehow putting me on the pedestal, and I don't want to be on a pedestal. And they were like asking everything about the traditional stuff in that regard. So, but it was. I had to really use my elbows to be heard about that. Yeah, there were crazy times. But that's also a great thing, because then it was still in the same manner of the Game of Hope as a structure. So at least not it was shuffled and mingled to each other. But I like that link with laying all the cards on the table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. So I'm glad you did persevere, because you had such amazing ideas, and the way you structured it was easier to understand than most of the other books I've read.
Well, it's not that I had so good ideas. I just succeeded in expressed it. I had a lot of mentors, so I did a lot of field research in that regard. And I wanted to transfer something that goes really further than just cardaments. I wanted to put the history. I would put it in a more social, philosophical context and all that. But I did not invent it. So I just somehow quite as good as I could the tradition. And there are also subjective facts in it. My work really came from decent research. Of course, I was a lucky bastard, because I had some mentors, so old ladies with a good name in that regard, so she could connect me with all people important in France, in Germany, in Holland. And, that was my big advantage, to hear them all. I really got a very broad view on stuff. And then I somehow edited and see, what would be a great add-on to the structure. So that is somehow how this came about, the Petit Lenormand Encyclopedia.
No, I like it though. Not inventing the wheel, but perfecting it. Adding the layer.
So but that here it's very popular. And that was also for me very strange, since of course tarot is also popular here. People, of course, the Rider-Waite is popular, but also the Tarot de Marseille, because we had also Belgium was very famous for the card makers back in the days, as was France, as was Swiss. But a lot of stuff happened here. So fascinating things. They're more open, I feel, too. Open to the new card systems, open to delving deeper into them. Yeah, but the strange fact here is that the Petit Lenormand cards have always been so popular that in the eye of the layman, that's also tarot.
Oh, yes. I know, I like that connection.
Because the people think, okay, reading cards, it's tarot. Whilst tarot has a whole other structure.
Very different.
Well, at least that's also consensus, because then we see, okay, now a tarot is a deck of cards with 78 cards. That's the general opinion of it. But there were also very early tarots who had less cards in that regard. But that's another discussion.
No, but like a fascinating one though for future on tarot versus Lenormand, like why the structures are different working. Yeah.
And how came that about? That's what I find an interesting question nowadays, since I am not an active cartomancer anymore, but I still love cartomancy, but in a much more layered way, to look at it from an anthropological way, or a sociological, or maybe a psychological way, or whatever, to have that holistic look at it. I have much more fun and entertainment by thinking about it, talking about it, than reading them for other people, because that was not really, I've read so many years cards for people, but that was, strangely enough, that was not really my big passion. I had much more fun finding out late in the evening how the Petit Eter cards worked than reading cards for people. And maybe that's strange, but you will find out that I'm strange.
No. I think it's like the professor role, because you're finding out all the ways to read it, all the ways to explore it, and then sharing it with everyone who loves to read it, who wants to explore it that way. So you're giving them the tools to dive deeper into the cards, which I've always found fascinating.
Yeah. Maybe, yes. And I'm not a cartomancer, but I like cartomance.
Yeah. So it's like researching cartomancy. You're the cartomancy researcher.
But for me, people don't understand it. The strange thing is that I often encounter people who were disappointed if I said so.
Oh, no. Yeah, I can see. Well, if people want to see how you do the cards, but if they read your books or like listen to the podcast and stuff, seeing how you layer the cards, how you're telling people how to read the cards, it's that exploration of how to do it instead of just reading it, but diving deeper into things,
Yeah. And I have much more fun talking about it, researching it, comparing it, than reading them. But there are so many people who can read them, and I will still do my publications. I will still give my opinion for what that's worth. And you can do with it whatever you want.
I actually find it more fascinating, though, when you do talk about it, because it opens the doors for me to see the cards in a different way, how I'm going to read it differently, even the history of where it came from, because now that could open a door to how to read it differently, And while you may not like reading the cards, you're still really great at it, because you read my cards before we started this fun venture. So
there's so much for so many people. So that's a mystery on its own, isn't it?
Yes. And it's being then authentically how you want to do it, because that's how you're going to read the cards accurately, by staying how you authentically read it instead of copying somebody else.
Madame Lenormand, she was authentically.
Yes.
And that was the basis of her success.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
She did things no one ever did before. So it's also about being authentic, being add some showbiz to it, maybe, or I really like to read in those old books those accounts of people who encountered a fortune teller, and let's say it how it is. There were like Madame Lenormand and her cabinet. There were also a lot of things who somehow were a little bit towards conning people with mirrors, with different layers, with atmosphere making. But in regards of how you somehow are involved in the whole situation, that adds on to the whole thing. It's also about and there are several old accounts of people searching out a fortune teller, and they say, okay, it cost me a lot of money, and I don't even know if this is true, and I don't even care if this is true, but what I encountered, or what I have just experienced, that was really special and worth every penny of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's usually them being their authentic self.
Yeah, and I like that, And then in my fantasy, I step into the cabinet of Madame Lenormand. I see that mirror, knowing if you look through it, that someone in another room with a special technique with mirroring are somehow playing a shadow game, and then you pull something or you push something, and then your own mirror images in there. in that time zone, Morgan, that would be bang out of order to experience something like that. And even it's tricky, it's sneaky, it's like somehow, but it does not have to be real to be true, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, the other way around. It doesn't have to be true to be real. That's
yeah. The experience of it, definitely.
It's a thin line, it's a thin line.
Sorry. Yeah, but if you do it right, it's amazing, the outcome.
Yeah. So, why do you think that those Petit Lenormand cards are so so popular and so? Because what's the difference with other systems? Why is it so popular? Why? Because a lot of people say they are so accurate, they are so this, they are so that. Why is that? Do you think?
I think because it does follow a structure, and it really does mirror life. Because in life, it isn't all happiness and everything's going to go well, but maybe you do need to sit in a lesson, or maybe like you go to the trees, or the garden. Because I know in this book, if you land on the book, you've learned new information. Now you have to go back to the garden to reassess. And it feels like it's giving you what you need to move on versus all this happiness and everything's going to be okay. That giving you that firm thing of how to navigate to where you want to go, instead of just the ending, like everything's going to be awesome, but here was how you would get there, even if you have to take 4 steps back. That's why I like it, at least.
Yeah, it sounds like really realistic and not sugarcoating.
Yeah, no, because sugarcoating doesn't. And real action steps too, because that's the thing most people don't realize, is you actually have to take action steps, do things to get there. Not just this is how it's going to work out, but what do you need to do to actually get what you want, even if it's outside your comfort zone, Yeah.
And it's interesting because back then I did a lot of in-depth research, and then you look about the structure, and then you somehow held it against the era of that time, the mid-19th century and all that, and the time before, maybe pre-revolutionary times, after Renaissance, the Enlightenment. Life was very insecure, and there are some certain things who really, like social status is something that really comes forward in that regard, to be part of a good network and all that, because that was very important back then.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you have that support too. Support of community, the network.
So, I can still remember that if you look at from the eye of or from sociologically point of view, that's interesting to somehow see reflect that in the cards, and in the end, it's perennial wisdom in that regard. It's something that is always important. Okay, status or the network where you're in. Things did not change much, but especially then, and that day it was important, and it had also another meaning in that regard. Also the classical worldview and all that. Really interesting, and that's why I really like to look at it in a holistical way. I can really have fun to held it against that era and social structure, political structure, in regards of wars, and then in my mind I go back to there and okay, how was it for those people? And that's for me fun. That's for me the mystery.
I like that though. Definitely like in those times too where they did take chances. Because like you're saying, there's so much uncertainty, so much, they still took the chances though. They still moved forward instead of staying still.
And the interesting part is that those icons, those iconography on the Das Spiel der Hoffnung and the Petit Lenormand cards. You see them also, in a lot of other stuff coming back. That even like cubes for children to play with the same images of a dog and all that. So there were somehow important things back then. And they somehow, I think, also out of practical reasons, entered certain meanings on that, what either would be logical or maybe somehow crowbarred it in because somehow it has a strange structure often.
No, it definitely does. But if you look, it does make sense, though. Like you were saying, the symbols do. They chose symbols that actually spoke to people as well.
And back then, you have to do it with the stuff that was available. But I often say it, if you look at the Little White Book, and people don't like to hear that, but I say it anyway. But I'm always open for a reaction or whatever. But people, if they like a certain deck, for instance, like the Petit Lenormand cards, they are so passionate about it that you cannot say anything that goes against that, But I'm pretty much sure. And please reach out, say your meaning to everyone listening in. But if you watch the Little White Book, the structure of it, it's just, I think that they just made it in one afternoon after 15 beers or something like that, because there is the concept is logically good cards dealt to your significator card is good. I like that. That's very clear. That's also the same how they work with runes or other divination tools. The proximity towards a key element in the oracle has a meaning. So yeah, I like that. That's clear. That's also maybe why it's so workable. Something good dealt close to you, it's good influence. Something bad dealt for it right away. Okay, that's good because it's out of your comfort zone. That's also how I explain it in my book. But then there are things who go the other way around, and some imaginary or some emblems are logically, but other are totally strange. So I think in an afternoon, someone had a great idea. They outside of the box put an LBB at go. The strange thing, 200 years after it, we are still pulling each other's hair about what it has to mean.
Oh yeah, no, it's so true. Especially if, like you say, you read all the different little books in people's decks. They're all different usually. They're just all have different ways of going about it.
Yeah. So but that's also the only thing that is a constancy. The Little White Books. Ooh. And that is also something I had to explain, because they were thinking, people in the Anglo world, they were thinking, okay, but there is a French Little White Book, there is a German Little White Book, and a Dutch Little White Book, and they are telling something different. No, that's one and the same.
Yeah. Pick the one that works for you, right?
Yeah, but they are one and the same, and that was the only big denominator, and it is the method of distance. That was as much as possible clarity about it, even though it's very vague.
Yes. Yes.
And that's where my task was, somewhere to structure that, to make it workable.
Yeah. And I like using the method of distance the best as well, because it is the most logical, and it's what's affecting you and when, because that's all people do want to know about.
Yeah, and the big advantage in that, Morgan, what I still can remember when I was still reading cards for people, is that you can really take people in the Grand Tableau. You can say, okay, here the dog represents friendship, but this friendship, this dog is very far away from you. And even the garden, which somehow expressed the same, is also away from you. So what's happening? Can you still, or are you in good standing with your surroundings and all that? So people can see it right away why it's there, and they can somehow also reason with it, and you can say, okay, but it's here. Yeah, and then they ask, it opens up, and I always use it very much to take people into the Grand Tableau. That was for me the magic.
Oh yeah.
Watch myself, or if I remember, I was most of the time explaining the cards. I was not somehow reading the cards. Yeah. Do you understand what I mean?
Oh yes, yeah.
And then you get some strange stuff, and people somehow understand the concept. The dog far there, and this tree, but it's your health, but it's in a good position. You can see it, okay. And then they all of a sudden, and that horse that's there. But my husband, he's such a prick because I wanted the horse, and I never received. So that had not anything to do with whatever was dealt there, but you have somehow a communication through that cards, Yeah. That's something really funny that happened often in that regard.
That would be, yeah.
You know, but
Especially,
there you have something which opens up a portal towards new thinking structure. It opens a portal to understand things, or it opens maybe a portal to rethink your current thoughts about something, which is mysterious on its own, I find.
yeah. No, I like that because it does bring a conversation into it, even if, like you said, it has nothing to do with it. It's obviously triggering something in their mind. Yeah.
What
And
you say
especially,
that, you say it brings a conversation in it, but it's also fortune telling. I telling you your fortune, and your fortune is how many luck will you have? What hand have you been dealt in this game of life? This
yes.
crazy
Yeah.
game.
Yes. Tricky game.
Yeah, it's a tricky game. Yeah, that's also what tarot is, a tricky, a trumping game. A
Oh,
game
yeah.
of chance, literally and figuratively.
Yeah. Especially with tarot.
Yeah.
Ugh. Ups and downs. But that's why, like with Lenormand, I feel like it's a little more clear with Lenormand. You're getting more of a clear way to move forward.
Yeah. And do you think that this oracle, if we somehow give it an identity, speaks with another voice than other oracles, or what?
Gosh, absolutely. I think it's completely different because I've read like Akashic Records and tarot, or even the regular cartomancy cards, the actual playing cards. And I feel like this is the most straightforward, deck of cards because it's not only telling you what's happening, but then what steps you need to go or what maybe you truly want at the end,
So it's your go-to deck, isn't it? Or
for Lenormand, yeah. Besides Akashic Records, of course, yes. Lenormand's always the one I go to. But people still prefer tarot. So if they still prefer tarot, I like to just pull 5 cards with tarot and then my grand tableau, because the 5 cards of tarot will be like the energy of it, and then the answers in the Lenormand.
yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you use a lot of systems at the same time. You're
Yeah.
somehow a Madame Lenormand, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yes, I love combining things because they all play off each other. They all show each other different ways to go.
Is there a reason for it that you do it that way, or?
Well, the whole reason with tarot and Lenormand together is a lot of people prefer tarot, but I think Lenormand shows a little bit of a broader picture. So you're giving them the tarot spread they want and then clarifying it with Lenormand,
Mm-hmm.
And even when I do astrology, I like to get, my board, and then I'll place the cards on the board because it then gives you a clear answer of exactly what's happening in the chart. So it's just layering it because nothing ever is straightforward. Even life, you have layers. You have, extenuating circumstances. Sorry, I'm like trying to think of the word. Like you have the players in your life also competing. So just one thing will show you something, but layering it gives you a fuller picture. That's just how I see it.
Yeah. So if I'm listening very good, you somehow, I hear you saying that because life is so layered, that you should use a layered method of divination with certain advisors in that, each in its own right, something like that.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great way to look at it. Logically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But still love Lenormand as a go-to because just like Game of Hope gives you that, like as you're saying, gives you the clearer picture.
Yeah. And is there something where they somehow lack in regards of, or in comparison with other cartomancy systems or tarot?
The Lenormand cards lacking, you mean, or the person I'm reading for? I know now. That's a good question. So I'm trying to think. Yeah, I guess it's just different. Like they're all different. So it depends because, tarot has the Fool's Journey. So if you're only going to use the Fool's Journey to show someone their path along the way, I guess I know that's a good question. I'm going to have to think about that because they all just kind of give their own perspective. But yet, even now that I'm just saying that, the Fool's Journey, you can still get that with Lenormand. You can still layer a Lenormand and show them their path forward. So I guess it's just which divination system you're strongest in, which you want to work in, what speaks to you more, you know?
Yeah. I think that's the clue. Huh?
I know, hard question.
Yeah, but I will never give you the questions beforehand because we want to be known as doing everything organically in the moment, not too much edited, not edited at all.
Yeah, no. And
except for me saying stupid things, then we edit. But you can just be yourself.
But that's good though, because you never know then where the conversation leads, you know?
Yeah. That's also where we will make the difference. Just say it how it is in the moment. Yeah. No strings attached. No, not too much. No mask. Just how it is.
That's also a good question to ask readers too, because you were just asking me what's better, why do I choose? And it's someone picking up a set of cards or picking up this, but why do they constantly pick that up or use that? Or why is that their go-to? They might not even realize it, you know?
Yeah. That's also why I wanted to know that for me those are the interesting questions, you see, and that's why even though I really recommend cartomancy but I always want to have more than just the 1 square meter on the table. I am interested in the process. What do you say and how it is received? What does he or she do with that information? How does it map out in a bigger overall? You know, that's what gets me going in my mind.
No, definitely. No, I agree, because it is interesting, and that's really why we're here, the whys behind things, the why, so that the history of it, and it really does add to things, because you might then use these cards in a different way or find your connection why you keep grabbing that one deck.
You know, I think if you say it like that way, then I'm immediately thinking that each oracle, whatever you read, cards, runes, whatever, so that has to resonate with you, that there's someone who has to be triggered, but that each divination system in its own right is authentic, that's for sure. But you also have to maybe try to be an authentic oracle reader, even if you do it serious or out of interest or out of just out of show, because you can do it in many ways or with many interests, but you somehow search something that match your character or your interest or your way of being. It's somehow the same maybe as that you wear certain clothes that are somehow an extension of your personality. Maybe it goes the same there.
Because how you pick the clothes, making sure that there's no outside influence and it is just you. Like if you want to wear a big party dress that day instead of jeans and t-shirt, which everyone expects.
Yeah. Don't do what everyone expects.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Be a rebel.
Exactly.
But a rebel with a cause, not without a cause.
Yes. I love that. Yes. Hashtag rebel.
Yeah. So I think that we somehow had a great conversation about the Petit Lenormand deck. Let's talk next time about some tips and tricks, and maybe about it has been several years since I published the books, and the strange thing was, when I published in English, I already quit with being a cartomancer. But I'm still buying some decks nowadays. I'm not reading cards anymore, but I'm really still interested in the concept and the whole stuff. There are always things you somehow make an evolution. And if I had to overdo the books now, I would have written some different things. And maybe that's also interesting to talk about. Things I stood for back then in regards of certain card meanings where there was a lot of fuss about, a lot of fighting, which, I nowadays somehow see a little bit different than my stance back then. And maybe that's also interesting to talk about so many years later in that regards. Also to have a critical reflection on yourself, where I somehow had a truth, but I was thinking back then what was very strong, but after all was not that strong.
No, yeah.
That's also interesting to make that reflection, I think, and maybe it's interesting for the people to hear what that is, if they are interested, of course.
Yeah, no, I think so, definitely, because, you're in a place back then too where it wasn't as popular. So you're just trying to get out the basics, not the layered, not, like you said, everything you've learned now and studied. Because like you keep saying, you don't like reading them, but you're like the professor. You want everyone to know all these things, like everything that's the layers of them, how you're learning them and how they can use them. So I think it would be interesting to see what you think now as well.
Yeah. Okay. That was it. So everyone, thanks for listening. Thanks for viewing. Follow, subscribe if you like what we are doing. Mystery Channel will be a work in progress. So you see and hear right away that we start from nothing, and we will take you along on our journey, and we will progress.
Yes.
That's our goal. Together with you guys, support us, follow us, reach out about topics that you want to hear about. The interesting thing with Morgan and I is that we have both our expertises. Especially we have an interesting situation where Morgan is still very active in regards of doing divination, in regards of everything to do with cartomancy, shamanism, astrology. She's really in the field, whilst I somehow have that behind, but still have interested, but in a other regard, more layered as an opinion maker, and that's an interesting atmosphere. We have both a lot of overlap. There are a lot of subjects where Morgan has a lot of expertise, and I am very grateful that I will find out just by talking to her what that is. My expertise is of course, where I am famous for in the Anglo world, my ideas about cartomancy, about tarot. But there is also my knowledge about hedonism, Indo-European culture, everything to do with mystery initiations, with Freemasonry. So we will have a lot of topics to talk about, a lot of links to somehow to connect those islands, to see what's the big denominator and all that. So whatever you want to hear or whatever you want to find out, whatever you always wanted to know. And we will not claim, isn't it, Morgan, that we know everything. We don't owe wisdom. We are prepared to search the answer with you guys, isn't it?
Because I would love to hear. There's just so much on every single topic. You can't know it all, but that's why it'd be fun for everyone on Facebook and YouTube. Follow us there so you can tell us what you think about the episodes. Tell us that if you know something more, or would like to see something in the future. Plus, there'll be a lot of interactive comments and posts, and it'll be a deep dive into all of these things.
You said good. Maybe you can compare us with a DJ, but and we put on the records what you ask, but we put on the mystery that you ask.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, let's round it up. Thank you all for listening.
Yeah. Yes, thanks everybody. And we will see you next time for the next mystery, for the next dive into a fun topic. So see you all next time at the Mystery Channel.
Bye. Bye.